Hello and welcome back to the channel where it is, as you can tell, a Steelers Friday, and that means we are going to be previewing their game this weekend against the Baltimore Ravens in AFC North football, as Mike Tomlin likes to refer to it. This preview is going to take on a little bit of a different swing than normal, for reasons that will become obvious. But we'll start with what we usually do, and that's run through the injury reports. Now that I've sort of timed it and I've learned my lesson, to just wait till the injury reports come in on both sides before I do this. So on the Pittsburgh side, let's see, Presley Harvin is out. Alex Highsmith is questionable. I think that's a pretty strong note, but given the strength and depth with Golden and Herbig, not exactly my main concern. But he is questionable. Dan Moore is out, which means we should probably be seeing Broderick Jones starting a left tackle, which I know a lot of people have been hoping for. James Daniels remains out, so that means Nate Herbig will be filling in his spot. Pat Frymouth is out, and DeMarvin Leal is out, and Najee Harris was limited in practice. So what impact that has, similar to Alex Highsmith, given the depth we have, and with Jaylen Warren offering an option. Not my biggest concern. Obviously a concern, but not my biggest concern. And on the Ravens side, we have Odell Beckham Jr. is questionable, but he came out in the press conference today and said that he intends to play. So hold on to that. Justice Hill is questionable. Marlon Humphrey, questionable. Ronnie Stanley, questionable. Obviously, Marlon Humphrey and Stanley, them being questionable. Again, are they 100% going into the game? Two very key areas that we might look to explore and take advantage of. Keaton Mitchell is questionable. Adafe Owa is out. Morgan Moses is doubtful. And Darryl Worley is out. So there's the injury report. Now, this preview takes on a different stance because it is basically still the same as it has been, run game, dominating them, all that sort of stuff. So all the points I've made previously, just bring it into this week. And until Matt Canada changes anything, and Terrell Lawson on the defensive side of the ball as well changes anything, it will remain the same. But on the subject of Matt Canada, and this is a topic that I've seen brought up across a couple of Twitter accounts and a couple of Steelers media outlets this week, is whether or not it is a good thing to lose. And this is obviously in relation to, a loss will mean that Matt Canada goes and all that sort of stuff. And I just want to give my take on it. At this point of the season, I was go on a bigger point actually to start with. I will more often than not, 90% of the time, never advocate or endorse the Steelers losing. Never. However, if we got to a later stage in the season where, we are out of the playoffs if it gets to week 13, I'm just going to plug numbers out here. If it is week 13 and we are 6-6, say, or actually no, 6-6 would probably be questionable, but if we are 4-13 or whatever, 4-10, you get the gist. If we are looking as if the season is over, if at that point, even if we aren't mathematically eliminated, if it's looking like it's a lost cause, at that point I might say I'm not fussed if we lose because we slide down the draft pick and all that sort of stuff. So I'm not always advocating Steelers to lose, but there are some certain situations. In week 5, however, with a record of 2-2, and given that, we are only one game behind the Ravens and a win would put us 3-2, and then we get the tiebreaker, so we would jump to the top of the AFC North. At this stage, I do not want us to lose. I'm not advocating or endorsing a loss on the Steelers side. What I ideally want, and this sounds bad, is I want a close, low-scoring win. Because that will give the indication, by all means, if we have to go back to that Monday Night Football game from 2007 season, when we beat the Dolphins 3-0 on the last kick of the game, if it has to be that, it has to be that. If we win 13-10, 15-12, whatever. If we can win and still score a minimal amount of points, I think that might be enough for the message to be sent. So, in regards to Matt Canada, of course I want Matt Canada gone. But the obvious problem is, if we go and we put 35, if we put 35 on them, with the majority of the points, unlike the Cleveland game where we actually score 2 touchdowns from the defensive side of the ball, but if we score 35 and five of them are from the offense, then it keeps Matt Canada in a job. It papers over the cracks. False sense of security, all that sort of stuff. So I don't want that. I want us to win. I don't want to be one of those Steelers fans that says, "Oh, I want us to lose this week." Not at this stage of the season. But if we can win in an unconvincing manner, I think that's probably the best way to put it. If we win in an unconvincing manner, that is probably the best short-term and long-term solution for the Steelers, because it says, right, yes, we got a win. Everyone feels happy. We got an AFC North win. All that stuff that goes into it. But then we can also say, but there are some limitations. I mean, a 13-10 win would also mean, hey, the defense has got better. So it had some advantages there as well. But if we put up 13... No. Beggars belief, but say we go back to the Kansas City Chiefs, was it wild card or divisional round? Divisional round thing, where we beat them and Chris Boswell scored all the points. Ideally, that's what I want. Maybe I have Chris Boswell in fantasy. But if we have to have a win where Chris Boswell scores all the points, or scores all the points and a safety, say, that is what we want. So, as I said, this wasn't much of a preview. This is just my take on what has been one of the main topics around Steelers fandom this week, is that I want us to win, obviously. But if we can do it in an unconvincing manner, and I know that even that on its own sounds terrible, but if we can do it in an unconvincing manner and still have a lot of questions coming out of it, that is probably the best way for us to move forward as a team and get rid of Matt Canada, move on to a new style. It probably won't be a radical change at this point of the season with the playbook and the styles that will get promoted. The people that would come from within, if it's Mike Sullivan, the quarterback's coach, whoever it is that decides, whoever it is that gets appointed to take over. There is one guy whose name is right escaping me right now. He's the assistant offensive coordinator. I want to say it's Danny Green. The name is escaping me right now. But whoever it is that takes over, it's not going to be a radical change, but it might be enough of a change that, fresh face, fresh ideas, it might be something worthwhile. So that is what I'm hoping for. In terms of a prediction, as much as I want an unconvincing win, I just don't see it happening. I am going to predict a loss, as painful as that is for me to admit. And given the way the Ravens offense has started the season, how we still haven't, go back to an actual preview element, still haven't stopped the run. You have to do that with the Ravens, especially with Lamar Jackson. I'm going for a 28 to 15 loss, personally. 28 to 15. Hopefully I'm wrong, but we shall see.